and we have Nagorno-Karabakh unilateral statement, and we have signature of the president of Azerbaijan under this document, and we have Lachin corridor that should be freely operable. And by the way, according to that trilateral statement, out of control of Azerbaijan, and it is according to the signature of President of Azerbaijan. And recently, you know, some Armenians children from Nagorno-Karabakh, they tried to travel by bus through Lachin corridor, and they were stopped and masked. Some Azerbaijani persons with masks intruded into bus, and children there were screaming, and that was the last attempt of the Armenians on Nagorno-Karabakh to freely commute through Lachin corridor. President Aliyev mentioned destroyed mosques. You know, I would like to say that in 2017, in Azerbaijan, several mosques were destroyed for building new roads. And President Aliyev mentioned that several, I don't know how many thousand mosques that were destroyed. And by the way, in the Soviet time, and when in Azerbaijan, approximately 1,560 mosques were destroyed. And that it was the usual thing for Soviet Union. In Armenian, in Soviet time, churches were destroyed, mosques were destroyed, and you know, Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh, they shouldn't pay the debts from the Soviet time. And you know, it's very important. It is very dangerous narrative, because I'm afraid sometimes there is an impression that Azerbaijan want to give some religious context to this whole situation. It is very dangerous. There is no any religious context in the conflict, and the proof is that that we have very good. And by the way, in our country, we have Muslim minority, and we have in our country acting mosque, and that is the reality. And you know, the wording of Azerbaijan, what is concerning, using the wording of such kind of almost offensive wording, capitulation, etc. You know, from a side, it can be impression that now Azerbaijan want to show that, and that is maybe reality, that Azerbaijan adopted a revenge policy. You know, revenge policy, and maybe that is the policy of Azerbaijan. But as it was mentioned, we have very complicated history. And I just said, yes, maybe it is historical meeting, but for what purpose we want to use this? For inflaming intolerance, hate, aggressive rhetorics in our region, or in opposite, we want to use this platform for making things better. We think that this platform vote to be used for constructive purposes. Of course, we can now tell many stories of enmity, but what is the meaning of our leadership? To deepen that enmity or to use our capacities, our authorities, our mandates. I'm proud that I've been able, our government was able, even after the devastating war, to have free democratic elections in our country that was worldwide acknowledged as free, democratic, and transparent and competitive. And as I said, from our point of view, is the solution is democracy, the solution is transparency, the solution is dialogue, the solution is respect for all countries in our region. And we are ready to work to that direction. Thank you.
And President Aliyev.
We have several platforms to address issues related to normalization of Azerbaijan-Armenian relationship. One of them is so-called Brussels format, and yesterday during the meeting with the President of European Council, Mr. Charles Michel, we once again reconfirmed our commitment to the Brussels process. Today, during the trilateral meeting hosted by Secretary Blinken, we also discussed Brussels process as a trilateral format. And I think there is a common understanding that this is only trilateral, EU, Azerbaijan, and Armenia. There is certain legacy from the so-called former Minsk group, which already retired and actually do not exist, maybe exist only on the paper. Therefore, the former co-chairs of the Minsk group, which actually did not deliver any result for 28 years, they still have some leverage on the situation. Therefore, we have a platform which is hosted by United States, by Russia, and now by European Union, but no longer by France, because of one-sided pro-Armenian position of the French government. And it is clear that when you are a mediator, you cannot take sides, and you cannot demonstrate that you take sides. So this, I think, is the answer to your question. And above of that, I want to say that whoever will help both countries to come to an agreement, of course, will have the champion's medal. But with respect to the peace talks, you know, we can understand this position, but judging from our experience, I can tell you that peace talks sometimes last too long. We had peace talks for 28 years. Can you imagine, from 1992 until 2020? And if we did not resolve Karabakh conflict on the battlefield, these peace talks would have continued for 28 years more. It was absolutely acceptable to Armenia because they wanted to seal the situation, to keep our lands under occupation forever. It was acceptable for Armenian friends in different parts of the world, but it was not acceptable to us. And we were preparing. We were mobilizing our efforts. We were growing new generation which came and liberated the lands which they have never seen because they were young, as they were not even born when Armenia occupied our land. Therefore, peace talks, yes, I am not against, but you have to restore justice by force, and this is your legitimate right. This is right given to you by Chapter 51 of United Nations, and we use that right, and we fought on our territory. Our war was war of liberation, and that's why it was a just war. Our war was not a war of occupation, and that's why we didn't have a single one from our army who left the battlefield. For 44 days, when our cities and villages were shelled by Iskander missiles, no one left the battlefield. In Armenia, there have been 11,000 deserters. Why? Not because they were losing on the battlefield, because their war was occupational war. There was no motivation for people who were born in Armenia to go to Azerbaijan and to fight for the land which do not belong to them. And what we've seen as one of the results of our liberation war, the main factor is motivation. Weapons, important. Tactics, important. Planning, very important. But motivation is number one. And you cannot conquer the people who want liberty. They can wait like we waited for 28 years, but one day they come to their land, they kick out the aggressor, and they put their flag on top of all our historical buildings.
Well, thank you very much for participating in this forum.